Hey everyone, it's Nicole again, and I'm here to do my June reading wrap-up. It's a little bit before the end of the month, but I'm in the middle of like 4 books, because sometimes that happens, and I don't think I'm going to finish any of them in the next 2 days, or like 1.5 days. So I'm just going to do the wrap-up now. If I finish something else, I can just talk about it next month. But I don't think I will. I've been like reading a lot, but I've been reading like a lot of things all at the same time. So, you know. This month I read 3 graphic novels and 9 novels, although 2 of those I didn't finish. What are you doing? Most of the books that I read were from the library, because I've been very bad about that. It's just so exciting that you can get any book you could possibly want from the library. And I just get excited when I get them all. So I'm just gonna go in order of the books that I read. So the first thing I read was Snotgirl Volume 2, and this is by Bryan Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung, and I got it signed because they were doing an event the other day. This is a very strange book, and like I don't really know how to explain the plot of it, but it's about this girl Lonnie who's a fashion blogger, and she also has really bad allergies, and she hangs out with her friends, and there's weird mysteries. This one, I feel like I liked a little more than the first one, just because I kind of had a feel for the world, and it introduced some new characters and kind of delved into other side characters. But yeah, I liked this one a lot. And the next thing I read was Scarlett, Hart, Monster Hunter, and this is by Marcus Sedgwick. I had an arc of this, but it expired because I was too slow to read it, so I just got it from the library. And it's about this like young girl who fights monsters, but like she's too young to fight monsters, so she has to do it in secret. And there's like her arch nemesis who's always trying to catch her, and it was just very cute, and I feel like I would have liked reading it as a kid, and I'm glad it's out there for young girls to read and know they can fight monsters. The next thing I read was How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent by Julia Alvarez. This is like a collection of short stories, but they're all interconnected, about this family, the Garcia family, who moves to New York from Mexico, I think? Yeah. And kind of about their adjustment, and it kind of goes backwards in time. So it starts when they're all older, they're all adults, some of them are married, some have kids, and then it kind of works backwards until before they've moved to New York. And I didn't realize that they were all, like, I thought it was like a novel, but a lot of the stories had been published individually, which made a lot of sense. But yeah, I kind of had trouble like connecting with it, because it was a bit disjointed, but I enjoyed it, and just I enjoyed the stuff later in the book, when they're younger. I thought that was really interesting. And then the next book is a book that I didn't finish, and that was Forest Dark by Nicole Krauss. I was listening to an audiobook, and I got about a quarter of the way through, and I was just like really struggling to connect with it. I read her 2 other books by her, Great House and The History of Love. I read them like in high school, and I really liked them. And I saw she had a new book that came out like last year. This one was about this like older Jewish guy who I think is in Israel, and he suddenly like just gets rid of all of his things and then disappears. And then it's also about this young writer who's basically Nicole Krauss, and she goes on a trip to Israel because she hasn't been there in a while. And it's about like Jewish identity, but I was just like really struggling to connect with it, so I didn't finish it, but I still like her. Alright, and then the next book I read was something I really liked, and that was We Are Okay by LaCour. I feel like I've talked about this book in like the past 3 videos, so I'm sorry that I'm talking about it again. But yeah, this is about a girl who goes off to her first year of college. She's from California, from San Francisco, and she goes to college on the East Coast. Something very tragic happened right before she moved, and she hasn't really spoken to anyone from her life back in California. It's now winter break, and she is staying in the dorms no one else is, and her best friend, who was maybe a little something more, is coming to visit her, and she kind of has to deal with all the things that she ran away from. And I, like, connected with this book on so many levels. Like, it was so good. Like, being in love with your best friend, that's something I have dealt with. And also going to school on the opposite side of the country. Like, I'm from Northern California, and I went to school on the East Coast. I didn't like it. I came back, but kind of running away to hide from your problems related to that, and it was really good, and I, like, was ugly crying. Like, it was so emotional. Next thing I read, I forgot I read this, was Marx for Beginners by Ruis. I think that's how you say his name. And it's basically a book of, like, cartoons and teaching you about Marx and Marxism. And we got it for Rustine's younger brother because he graduated from college. We got him, like, some other stuff too. And it was, like, it was really good. I feel like Marxism is, like, very difficult to understand, and just, like, his writing is not very easy to follow. But I really like the format. And apparently this is, like, pretty old. It's from, like, the 70s, and this dude was a very famous cartoonist. He did a lot of, like, political cartoons. So I thought it was good. There was some stuff I wish he had gone into more detail, and other stuff that I was like, do we really need all that detail? But everyone's at different educational levels, so. Alright, and the next thing that I read was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Stiefvater? If you, like, think about it, it gets confusing how to say her name. Yes, I finally read this book. I was, like, not sure about it at the beginning because, well, it's, like, not vibing with the writing. There was, like, a lot of adjectives. Too many adjectives. But then I kind of got into the flow of it, and I like the characters. Nothing really happened. Like, I, like, sped through it, but because I was, like, waiting for something to happen. But it is the first book in a 4-part series, or more. I don't know. And I have the second one, so looking forward to reading that one. I really love Ronan. Little angsty sweetie. Blue's pretty cool. I wish there was more female characters, but maybe more will get introduced. I want Blue to have more lady friends. She should have them. But I guess she's, like, surrounded by women all the time with her family. Alright, and then the next thing that I read was The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. Another book I've talked about in, like, the past 3 videos. I will just say that I loved this. It was beautiful. It's about this blacksmith apprentice who meets this guy who, like, takes care of tea dragons and makes tea, and meets this, like, cute little lady, and it was really adorable, and I quite liked that. I haven't talked about my single issue comics in a while, but I do want to talk about one just to get y'all excited. There's a new Nancy Drew comic, and it's like a modernization, and George is gay, which of course, like, in my heart I've always known. So the first issue of that came out. So keep your eye out on the trade, probably coming out in like a year or something. But keep your eye out because, I mean, nothing really happened in the first one, but I'm very, very excited because I love Nancy Drew. I have another book that I DNF'd, and that was The Art of Escaping by Erin Callahan. I got about 30% of the way through this. I had an arc of it from Night Alley, and the writing was just jumping all over the place, and it was, like, very disorienting, and there was just, like, some things that were bothering me about it. There was, like, a lot of girl hate that wasn't really dealt with. A lot of, like, I'm not like other girls, and, like, she was into, like, escapology, like, escaping straitjackets and opening locks. I don't really know how to explain escapology, obviously, which I was like, that sounds really cool, which is why, like, I requested the book. But she, like, meets a guy who, she's, like, keeping it a secret for some reason, which, like, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. You feel like you can just tell people. And then she meets a guy who, like, finds out her secret, and then, like, he tells her his secret. But his secret is much bigger. spoiler alert, he's gay. Two very different things, and I was just like not into that comparison. So I just moved on. So I looked at the negative reviews, and I was like agreeing, like I was already feeling a lot of the things that they were saying. So I mean, I feel bad because I got it for review, and it's kind of like a smaller book, but I'm not like, I would check out another book of hers. I think it's her first book, so yeah, that one just wasn't quite for me. I really liked the premise though. Alright, and then I read Let's Talk About Love. Oh, hold on. I haven't turned it into the library yet. So I read Let's Talk About Love by Kann. And this is about Alice, who just finished her freshman year of college, and her girlfriend has just broken up with her because she found out she's asexual, and she didn't like that. Well, I mean, basically she just thought she didn't want to have sex with her, but she couldn't, like, she is not really out to people about being asexual, so she was like, wasn't able to tell her, no, it's not you, I just don't want to have sex with anybody. But yeah, I was really excited to read this because I haven't really read any books with asexual characters, and I'm very, like, I, like, want to learn more about asexuality because I feel like I'm the very opposite of asexual. Yeah, not gonna go into more details, but yeah. But this was very cute. I liked it. I had trouble, like, connecting with the writing a little bit. Like, it kind of took me a little while to get through it. It's pretty short. And I felt like the characters were, like, very dramatic. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, an old lady. And I just can't relate to people anymore. I think, like, ultimately it just, like, I was not the audience for this. I don't really like cute things, especially romance. Like, my ideal romance, lots of sexual tension. That's it. That's all of it. I don't like reading about when people are together, and this is, like, a lot of, like, cuddling, and, like, they're just, like, I don't like that. Not for me. I like cuddling on occasion, but not really. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that, like, it just made you, like, realize how different, like, asexuality is for everybody. Just because, like, she was very affectionate to, like, all her friends. Like, she was, like, always, like, cuddling people and, like, kissing them on the forehead and, like, holding their hands. And I'm not asexual, and I would never do those things. I'm, like, very not affectionate at all. So yeah, just a little too cute for me. But if you're into, like, reading about people being all cute, I think this is a good one. But yeah, I don't like cute romance. I'm just gross. I don't know. Like, my ideal romance is sexual tension, maybe a kiss, and then one of them dies. I know. I'm very happy. I think the next thing that I read was Undead Girl Gang. I'm pulling up Goodreads in case I'm forgetting something. It's by Lily Anderson. I read this in, like, one day. Like, I sat down and I read 100 pages, and then I sat down and finished it. So I liked this one. This is about a girl whose friend has just died, and everyone thinks it's a suicide because 2 other girls died by presumably suicide, like, the day before. But she's like, I don't believe you. She wouldn't do that. And her and her friend practice Wicca, and so she decides to resurrect her friend to find out who murdered her. And I thought, like, the writing was really good in this, and I really liked the characters. And also had, like, a really good message. Like, at first I thought, like, there was some kind of girl hate, like, I'm not like other girls sort of thing, but then it, like, totally combated that, and I was so there for it. I thought, I really liked the characters, especially because when she resurrects her friend, the 2 other girls who have died recently are also resurrected, who are, like, the popular mean girls on their school, and they have to, like, hang out with them because they're, like, Undead Girl Gang now. And I really liked the dynamic of that. It kind of reminded me of Paranorman. just having like the popular girls humanized. I thought some of the side characters needed a bit more to them, like especially everyone's parents. Like I could not picture them at all, and we barely knew anything about them. But I did like this. I will say though that there's some self-harm in here that's like not really challenged at all. I've heard some people talking about it on Goodreads, but the main character, Mila, that's her name, right? Yeah. Main character Mila, her like sister gives her a rubber band because she's like really sad because her friend just died, and she says like, when you're feeling sad you can snap the rubber band, like just put on your wrist, and then you can like feel your pain externally. And I mean, like I've heard that used when you're like trying to quit smoking, but if you're doing it as a way to externalize your pain, that is self-harm. And she continues doing it throughout the book, and it's never challenged at all. And like for me, that was a gateway self-harm method that led to further more dangerous things. And also she like digs her nails into her palms when she's like upset, and in my opinion that is also a form of self-harm, if you're depending on the reasons you're doing it, but the reasons she was doing it was definitely self-harm related. And at the end she talks about like going to therapy and talking about her depression, but it isn't specifically stated that she's talking about her self-harm. So I just wish that had been challenged, because I don't want like teens to like read this and be like, oh, what a great idea, because it could lead to more dangerous things. So that's the only thing I didn't like about this book. Yeah, but it was really good otherwise. And she's a librarian, which makes me really happy. She's also from Northern California, and I just want to be her friend because I bet she's really cool. Alright, and then the last thing that I read was an audiobook that I listened to, and that was Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. So I read Little Fires Everywhere last year, and I really, really liked it. This is her first book, and it's about, weirdly, kind of a similar plot, vaguely, to Undead Girl Gang, in that a young teen girl is found drowned in a river, and everyone assumes it's suicide, but the family's like, I don't know, like, she wouldn't do that. But it's about, like, all the secrets that the family had been keeping from each other. It's set in the 1970s in Ohio, and it's a mixed-race family. The dad is Chinese American, and the mom is white. I quite liked this book. It was a lot more focused than Little Fires Everywhere. Little Fires Everywhere was, like, very large and about, like, multiple families. But this one was more focused on this one family and how they were dealing with his death and all the secrets they were keeping from each other, as well as the difficulties of being the only Chinese family in this small town. Yeah, and it was really good. I liked the audiobook, and now I just want Celeste Ng to come out with more things so I can read them, because she's a really great writer. So yeah, those are all the books that I've read this month. As I said, I'm in the middle of a couple more, but I don't think I'm going to finish them in the next day. But yeah, let me know what you read this month. Let me know if you read any of those things. I'm very proud of myself because I feel like I read a lot of like 2018 releases, and I don't normally do that. I'm always like a year behind. So yeah, let me know if you read any of those and what your favorite thing was that you read this month, and I'll see y'all soon with another video. Bye!